If you love the Commanders and you want in-depth coverage on the burgundy and gold throughout the entirety of the year, that's what we provide for you guys here on the Commanders Report. Click that subscribe button for me right now, and also turn on your notifications so you never miss any of our free content here on YouTube. And welcome into the Commanders Report. Guys, my name is Jack Sperry, and on today's show, I'm going to be breaking down 5 surprise starter candidates for the Washington Commanders heading into 2023. Some of these names, some guys aren't really expecting to start this year, but after a good training camp, if these guys can put together a good, solid couple of weeks there at Commanders training camp, they could absolutely, in my opinion, surprise some people and start for the burgundy and gold here in 2023. So now let's start with the rookie center, Ricky Stromberg. So out of Arkansas, drafted in the 3rd round by the Commanders this year. And in my opinion, if you're going to be drafting an interior offensive lineman like Stromberg early on in the draft there by day 2, you kind of expect him to be in the lineup relatively quickly. Now, during OTAs and mandatory minicamp, it was Nick Gates, the newly signed center, getting the reps there in the middle of the offensive line. And then Chris Paul and Sadiq Charles have been battling it out, I should say, for that left guard spot. But I think that if Stromberg can have a really solid training camp here, he can be the starting center this year. And if he does so, this is what I would do. I would start the rookie right away at the center position, because if you think he's going to be a solid offensive lineman for you right away, I think by all means, start the kid right away and then move Nick Gates, who's currently playing at center, over to left guard. I don't really trust Chris Paul or Sadiq Charles to be an effective left guard for the Commanders this season. Nick Gates, you're paying him some money. He's going to be in the starting lineup somewhere. He's played guard in the NFL before, and I think that's a good fit for what the Commanders want to do here in 2023. Nick Gates, again, somebody that last year just gave up 1 sack for the New York Giants last year in 10 games played, has had some injury issues throughout his career, has had some trouble staying on the field, so hopefully this is the year that he can finally stay on the field for all 17 games, because the Commanders are running pretty thin on the offensive line as it already is. So let me know what you guys think about Ricky Stromberg down in the comments section. Should they start the rookie right away? Type yes or type no for me down in the comments section. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show, so YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. Do me a favor, find that pinned comment there right at the top of the comment section and give me a yes or a no. Now, another surprise starter that could come out of nowhere here is Kalik Hudson. So Hudson's been in the league for a couple of years here, more as a special teams player than somebody that's on the defense. But according to multiple reports out of Commanders OTAs and minicamp, he has really been impressive this year in coverage. And right now you got Jamin Davis and you bring in Cody Barton in from the Seahawks, formerly in NFL free agency. And you still got guys like David Mayo, some guys that have played here. But Kalik Hudson got a little bit of time playing as a linebacker towards the end of last season, looked pretty decent, and then apparently he's been looking good during the offseason program to this point. Very athletic guy out of the University of Michigan. At this point, he is a veteran, and if he could really have a breakout season here, that would be fantastic. Now, my prediction going into the season is that Jamin Davis and Cody Barton will get the start right away, especially Jamin Davis. I think his spot is completely locked and loaded. But if Hudson can have a really good training camp here, I think that with injuries and poor play and all these things that happen over the course of a season, I think Kalik Hudson would absolutely get his shot during the course of the 17-game schedule to prove what he can do and potentially solidify himself as a starter for the Commanders for years to come. So if you want to help us out here at the Commanders Report, do me a favor and like today's video. What that does is it tells the YouTube algorithm that you like our videos and that they should push our videos out to other Commanders fans like yourself. So if you want to help us out here and thank us for the work that we do here at the Commanders Report, go ahead and click that thumbs up icon for me right now. All right, now moving on to the offensive side of the ball again here, going with the tight end position, Cole Turner. So out of the University of Nevada, he's coming in here, very good athlete, at least in my opinion. So you're coming in to a tight end room that just doesn't have a whole lot of athleticism, right? Logan Thomas, he's a solid receiving kind of possession style tight end. He's definitely not the dynamic receiving threat that Eric Bieniemy is used to with Travis Kelce there with the Kansas City Chiefs. But Cole Turner has the athletic athleticism to maybe make some noise this year. Logan Thomas is getting up there in age, and it might be time for the kid to come up and rise up the ranks. And I think that because, Eric Bieniemy's used to having more of a receiving threat on the field and the athleticism that he brings to the table, I think Eric Bieniemy is going to do whatever he has to do to get him on the field, give him his opportunities, and see what the kid can do. He's been impressive in OTAs and minicamp. He's had some nice standout catches there in practice, and it's looking like he might get a real shot to be the number one tight end by the end of the 2023 season. And then also, speaking of Eric Bieniemy, he's got his new toy there in the running back room with Chris Rodriguez Jr., rookie out of Kentucky here. Really fell to the 6th round. I had a 4th round grade on Chris Rodriguez Jr. He falls to the 6th round, and you add him to a running back room that's already pretty solid with Brian Robinson Jr. and Antonio Gibson. Now, neither Robinson or Gibson are really like the dynamic, home run hitter type of guy, but Chris Rodriguez Jr., I think, has the potential to move up the ranks here this season and kind of make this more of a committee rather than just sitting on the bench as a true backup. So let me know which running back in this room that you think is going to have the best career overall when it's said and done. Will be Brian Robinson Jr. type BR, if you think it's going to be Antonio Gibson type AG, and then if you think it's going to be the rookie Chris Rodriguez Jr. type CR for me down there in the comments. So now my last surprise starter here, I think this one is unlikely, but I think that it is a legitimate possibility, and I want to discuss it, and that is at the quarterback position, Jacoby Brissett. Now, the only reason why I bring this up is because Brissett has been absolutely lighting it up at OTAs and minicamp, where he's really been turning some heads on the Commanders coaching staff, and Ron Rivera has even said himself, or that he's trying to portray to the media, that there's going to be a true quarterback competition here in the nation's capital going into training camp. Now, I don't necessarily believe Rivera when he says that. I think Sam Howell's going to get that start week 1 at least. He's going to have a couple of weeks to prove that he can be the guy. But it's nice to know that you have a guy like Jacoby Brissett, who I think is one of the more underrated starting caliber quarterbacks in the National Football League. You take a look at the values or the value that he brings to the table with the Browns last year. He was much better than even Deshaun Watson was last year, and he's definitely one of the more undervalued quarterbacks in this league. So it's nice to have him back there. And, although Rivera insists that he's a part of this competition, I don't think there's a competition at all. There's multiple Commanders players at this point that say, no, Sam Howell is our guy, at least going into the season. So although it's unlikely that Jacoby Brissett usurps Sam Howell before the season starts, as the year goes on, if Howell just doesn't perform and you need a veteran to come in and kind of save the season, it's nice to know that you have a guy like Jacoby Brissett who you can trust with a good offensive play caller like Eric Bieniemy, with the weapons that the Washington Commanders have like Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson, with the defense that he's going to have playing behind him there with Chase Young and Montez Sweat and Jonathan Allen, that awesome pass rush. I think Jacoby Brissett is definitely the type of player that could lead this team to the postseason if he were called upon. But at the end of the day, I think Sam Howell is going to get a shot, and I'm very optimistic about his future. Well, that's going to be it for today's show, guys. Really do appreciate all of you, all the real ones that made it to the end of today's program. Go ahead and click that subscribe button for me, because if you made it to the end of today's video, we must be doing something right. Don't be that guy that doesn't click that subscribe button, guys. I really do appreciate all the support. I will see you guys later, and as always, hail to the Commanders.